it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be talking to you about what I'm currently reading. So this is my currently reading video for September. So this is a video series that I have started on my channel where I talk to you about what I'm reading partway through the month. So you've got a little bit of an idea of what my thoughts are on some of the books that I will talk about in my wrap up later on. So let's jump in. The first book that I want to talk about is one that I'm currently reading on my Kindle, and that is The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare, and this is the first book in the Girl Meets Geek series. I got an arc of The Wallflower Wager, which is the third book in this series. And I think with Tessa Dare's books you don't necessarily have to read the series in order, but I kind of like to do that, so I decided that I was going to go back, and I had books 1 and 2 on my Kindle already. So I have only read the first chapter of this, and the first chapter was like 5% of the book or something like that, and I'm really intrigued so far. So what's happened so far is that our heroine has shown up in the office of the Duke of the town, and she was the one to design and kind of sew his, I think, ex-fiance's wedding dress. So she shows up in his office with the wedding dress on, demanding payment for the dress, because, you know, she can't pay her rent. Things are really difficult for her at the moment. You know, she spent all of these hours working on this dress, only for her not to be paid for it. So she shows up in his office, and his solution to that problem is to ask her to marry him. And then that's the end of chapter 1. And so that was like a really intriguing opening chapter. I only started this a couple of evenings ago, so I've only had the opportunity to read about 7% of this so far, but I really love Tessa Dare's writing, and I'm hoping this is going to be as good as some of the other books that I've read by her, so really looking forward to continuing this on. Another book that I am in the middle of at the moment is Diary of a War Bride, and this is by Laurie Robinson. I picked this up on the recommendation of Sarah over at Steepton Books last weekend, and I read the first 50 pages of it. It's like a little bit light up here at the moment, and this is a romance set during World War II, and it's about our heroine who was what's the word I'm looking for? She was evacuated, that's the word I'm looking for. She was evacuated out into the English countryside when, you know, the Germans started dropping bombs on London, and now she lives in this sort of house with her sort of foster parents, as it were, and a load of other children who have also lived there. She is not a child. I can't remember how old she is. I want to say that she's something like 19, maybe 20 in this book, so she was sort of like a young adult when she came to live in the countryside. And the Americans, since they have joined the war, have set up a base near to where she lives, and this is sort of upset the town a little bit. And in the opening few pages of the book, she's sort of cycling along and gets knocked off of her bicycle when a plane flies really low, and it has a couple of these Americans in it, and, you know, an American car pulls over to the side of the road, and it has our hero in it, and he's kind of like apologising for what happened, and there's like a little tiff between them. You know, she's really angry with him, whatever. Part of this is told in diary format, so the beginning of each chapter is like a little diary entry, which I quite like as well. And I've not read a romance set during World War II, and like I said, Sarah recommended this to me, and I tend to like her recommendations. So I've read about 50 pages of this so far, and looking forward to continuing on with that. Something else that I haven't picked up for a while is The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. I started this for the Thriller-a-thon, which was about 3 weeks ago now, maybe a little bit more than that, and I got this far through. So I'm on page 180, and I was really enjoying this. This is about a couple of sisters who, I don't want to give anything away because this is a thriller. Yeah, so it says on the back, 28 years ago, Charlotte and Samantha Quinn's childhoods were destroyed by a terrifying attack on their family home. Yeah, and then we're following one of the sisters 28 years later. And that's basically all I'm going to say, because I sometimes even think the blurbs on thrillers give too much away. The opening chapter of this was really in your face sort of thing. Gore is the wrong word, but she told you exactly what happened, basically. And I haven't read anything by Karin Slaughter before, so it was kind of nice to see what her writing was going to be like. And I was really enjoying this, and then I just got back from the Isle of Wight and just kind of put it to one side and never really picked it back up again, so that's a bit of a shame. I need to get back into it. I've left it on my currently reading shelf because I've had a bit of a clear out of that shelf, and I felt there were too many books on it really, and I wanted to leave this as one of my physical books that I was reading. So yeah, filming this video, I'm hoping is going to be like the impetus for me to pick it back up again. There we go, just change a couple of the light settings because it was a bit too light in here. And then the last physical book that I'm still reading is The Case Against Sugar by Gary Taubes. I was reading this last time I did a currently reading update, which I think was in August or was it in July? I can't remember. And I've got quite a bit further in this now. I think I've only got 2 chapters left to go. So I'm on chapter 11. Let's see how many chapters there are. Oh, and there's chapter 11 and the epilogue. So I don't have very much further to go in this. The last few chapters have been quite a lot longer than the other ones, and there's been a lot of facts and figures and sort of technical stuff to take on board, and I kind of feel like this has repeated itself quite a lot as it's gone along, and I can see why stuff has been repeated. You know, it's talked about for different purposes, but at the same time it's not really held my attention towards the end. I have found it really interesting, but yeah, I am less inclined to pick it up now. But I've only got 2 chapters left because a lot of the rest of this is them notes. I'm on page 224 and there are 282 pages, so I've got 40 pages left to go, so I really should be pushing through this. So I'll try and read one of those chapters over the next couple of days and see if I can push through this one. And then the only other book that I've got on my currently reading shelf is a book called The Futures by Anna Pitoniak, I think. This is one of the sort of really old arcs I have on my Kindle from NetGalley. And I was thinking that I should really start trying to make my way through some of those. So I've read the first 10% of this, and this is a story that is set in New York, and it's about a couple who meet in college and then they move to New York when he gets a job in finance. And I think most of the story is going to be about their relationship or marriage. I can't remember whether they get married or not, just from the synopsis, and sort of what happens with it. So it's like a coming of age type story. I've really enjoyed the first 10% of it actually, and yeah, it's sort of one of those scenarios where, you know, why haven't I gotten around to this before? So we've been finding out about their backstory and how they met and how their relationship has progressed before they got to New York. So that's been really interesting so far. I think from what I remember, he plays ice hockey in college. It's nice reading about that as well. So yeah, I need to get around to reading more of that basically. I actually haven't got an audiobook on my currently reading shelf because I've been making my way through all of the backlist of episodes from the podcast, The Wicked Wallflowers Club, which is a romance orientated podcast. I've really been enjoying listening to that, loving it actually. So I've sort of cleared some of the ones I had out from the library. I took back the Harry Potter and philosophy book that I talked about in the last video. It wasn't holding my attention, so I just thought I'd just leave it for now. And I've just been listening to that in the car, and that's been really, really enjoyable actually. So I'm going to continue doing that. And like I said, I had a bit of a clear out of my currently reading shelf, so I had that Jane Austen book on there, Sense and Sensibility. I got rid of that and a couple of other things just to kind of, yeah, level things out, clear it out basically, give me a bit of a clearer headspace. So yeah, so that's everything that I'm currently reading. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. Have you read any of these books? What did you think of them, and what are you currently reading? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.